Welcome back to Command Stack. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Garrett.
And in this little mini episode, we're going to be covering the GAR changes from the AMG update that dropped on January 21st of 2025. I don't think we've really, one thing to discuss, Garrett, is that these are live changes, right?
Yeah, you play right now, today.
Yes, play them. They will be live for Worlds, I imagine. I think that's what the regs say. So these are live changes. Play with them now. You be for Worlds in your tournaments. This is what you should play with. But let's today focus on GAR. And so what's our first? I think GAR, like CIS, was kind of recognized this theme of needing a little bit of help. And I think you'll see that in some of this.
Yeah. Overall, Anakin lists, like General Admiral Anakin lists, got a gigantic buff. Everything he uses went down. So first off, the Admiral himself, Anakin Skywalker, he's gone from 31 points to 27. So 4-point decrease right there. I think that's perfect for how difficult it is to use his ability. Having 3 ships on target to perform the rerolls. But 4-point decrease, chef's kiss.
I wonder if it might be a little overtuned.
It might be when we get to the other changes.
That's what I'm thinking. So I'll keep it there, and I'll come back to Anakin.
Okay. All right. One I'm personally excited for because I've never used this card, but now I can. Although I still don't know if I will. But it's Clone Commander Wolf. He had a text change, no points change. So what he used to be was when you activated squadrons without adept, they gained assault as a keyword. That was the first part of his card. And then the second part of the card was for each squadron you activate with the printed assault keyword, they got to spend a die with a hit or an accuracy to resolve the assault effect. Now, the issue was, of course, there is no assault printed keywords on GAR squadrons. So half of Wolf's ability didn't function. But now, the 3 squadrons that you activate without adept, they get assault, and they can resolve the assault effect with a hit or an accuracy. So now your Arc 170s can go to town with Clone Commander Wolf and assign potentially up to 3 raid tokens all at once. Because it's basically with a double blue bomber with a hit or an accuracy, you're almost like 85, 90% confirmed to get those 3 raid tokens assigned.
Wait. How does that work? How do you get 3 raid tokens?
Well, because you activate... All right, so he activates 3 squadrons without adept. It's Arc 170s. Arc 170s now have assault. And his ability is squadrons with assault can resolve that keyword with a hit or an accuracy icon. So then you attack with the first Arc 170, give him a raid token. Second Arc 170, give him a raid token. Got it, okay. So now you're hitting him potentially for 3 damage and assigning 3 raid tokens all at once.
Does that work with Plo?
Yeah. Yes.
Because Plo gives you an accuracy, right?
Yes, that is correct. So you could do this with Plo, Navota B, and Clone Commander Wolf and just stack abilities.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's how it's supposed to be because Plo Koon is the 104th Wolfpack Battalion Jedi Commander. So the synergy is supposed to be there.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen anyone mention Plo. This won't come out for another day or two, but...
So now... Well, yeah, that's amazing. So basically, your Arc 170s...
A guaranteed raid.
Guaranteed raid and potentially also 2 damage. And if you have a Bomber Command Center, that's even more guaranteed. This is very useful.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Clone Gunners. It's on here. I don't remember at the top of my head exactly what the change was. I don't think there is a change to this card. So we're going to... Might have been from before. Now. We might go back to that. I don't have it in my notes, but I think it's the same points. But we're going to skip that for now, and I'll keep it in the back of my head. But we're going to go down to Mercy Mission. So, obviously, very controversial card because it was 0 points.
Right.
And
It was not a ton of fun.
This is very reasonable. Okay, it's 5 points now. But to offset the 5 points, if you destroy Mercy Mission, instead of getting 20 points, you now only get 15 points, which makes sense because the ship had those 5 points on it from the card itself. So you gain nothing with this card by killing it, but it does cost the Republic fleet 5 extra points to build their actual fleet. But you still get
probably
the 40
have those
points.
5 points now, but
Yeah.
with all the points changes. But it's good that you are paying something for that. Just being at 0 points didn't feel great. And if you played against Mercy Mission, it doesn't feel great either. It is a very difficult card to play against. All right, so I think next we have Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Kenobi's next.
Yeah. You got a massive decrease from 28 points to 22 points. I think the fact that he just has never performed well necessitated a huge price drop.
Yeah, so he's still not amazing, but he's much more usable than he was. 6 more points with his ability. The ability didn't change. He's still okay. He's still okay. I'm not thrilled about him still. If I'm
is he the cheapest commander now?
For GAR, he is, yeah. So he's like your Dodana, just something you can slap onto a really expensive ship fleet. But to really take advantage of him, you still got to stack like expert shield tech and things like that.
Right, he's really a 40-point admiral, right? When we think about it, when you have to build around him, he's fine. I think the biggest thing with Kenobi is, and he would probably be broken if he didn't have this, but the readied text, you have to have a ready to redirect to get the effect is really, really hard to get probably the best use out of him.
Right. I double checked clone gunners, no change.
Yeah.
No change. I wanted to make sure that though. Okay, now the next one we have a title update for the Venators. This one's cool. Resolute, the title, is now 4 points instead of 6 points. This is the title that lets you grab 4 command tokens at the beginning of the game, either repair, squad, or confire. And after you resolve a command by spinning a dial, you discard a matching token and get a card and get a token. This is great when you're running double Venators. This is really useful to have. And at 4 points, that's a cheap title. Anytime you can get command tokens, especially in Republic, command tokens are essential to keep the machine running. Yeah. So it took a good title, made it better.
Yeah, perfect. It's probably at least A-tier Venator title.
Yeah. Take two Venators, take Resolute and Tranquility.
Done. All right.
Moving on to the next. We have Squadrons. Okay. Anakin's Y-Wing. Now, this is a sad card because Deltakin exists. But it did go from 19 points to 18 points, which is like... this is a good squadron. I think I was on Speculation Station. We talked about this. And I wanted to put it in a really high tier because he's Adept 2 bomber. And can ignore engagement as his ability by spinning a defense token. He's a really good, but Deltakin is just insanity. He's just a point cheaper.
That's how I feel about it. When he came out, he was a terror, right? When he was great, and you just never saw him once Anakin came out in the Aether Sprite. Because to go bomb, you need to kind of win the squad battle generally. Anakin does, Y-Wing Anakin lets you kind of get around that, and unless you spend a brace to kind of have super intel grit kind of thing, but you're just not gonna you're not gonna see it much.
No, yeah, it's just not gonna happen. That day is over. But the next squadron, Kit Fisto, went from 26 points to 24 points. Now Kit Fisto, historically, back before Anakin, Deltakin, Kit Fisto was a good squadron for GAR. But he's totally not worth it now with Deltakin as an option. He's still not going to be worth it when you combo Ahsoka and Deltakin. He just exists in a world that he doesn't belong. He's not.
He's
not
too
scattered.
expensive to be a. I mean, you know, he's too expensive to be a screen, right? To have, you know, you could do Anakin, Ahsoka, Kit. You know, now you're talking 60 some odd points. I'm just guessing, maybe 70 points.
Yeah,
for
it's
three
like 70
Jedi
points.
aces. And that's just a lot. That's just a lot for a screen when you could, you know, really just run Ahsoka, Anakin for 45 or something, whatever it is. So
He does have intel, which is always interesting. But I don't know. He's in a league with like some incredible aces. In a game you can only take 4 aces. It's hard to justify him.
Yep.
Our next guy, another tragically expensive squadron, Oddball, the Arc 170 squadron. He's gone from 23 points down to 20 points. I want to say, yeah. He had to have a points decrease.
No one was taking him.
Right. And I don't know if anybody still will. Generic Arc 170s with 7 hull are enough. I don't really need defense tokens.
You know, he's in the range now where you can play around with him. You know, that's the best I'll say.
Yeah, it's hard to justify bringing him because then like you're losing out on a whole squadron potentially.
Yeah. So I think, you know, what we're kind of seeing is GAR got some changes. We aren't convinced, at least with the last couple, Kenobi, Anakin, Kit Fisto, Oddball, that are really going to impact list building. We're not convinced of that.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. There could be some really crazy Plo Koon, Commander Wolf, Oddball stuff happening. So
these next changes definitely will. These next.
Yeah. So back to Anakin. So Acclimator 1 ships went from 66 points to 64 points. It doesn't seem like a lot, but 2 points is 2 points, man.
Well, it's like a free boarding troopers on the Acclimator, you know, which I've always thought should take boarding troopers. So it's great. They're without defensive retrofits, they're just overcosted. So
yeah, the double offensive is really cool, but they are a better Quasar boarding team because they're a little bit more survivable than a Quasar and can do similar damage with the squad value of 3. And you could put boarding troopers and expand and hangar bay on this, and
or
really
boosted comms, you know.
Try and do that.
Oh, I see your synergy there. Yeah,
trying to make the 4 tokens go away, and you know it's got an ordnance slot. There's interesting stuff to do with this, especially.
I think
for
all
Anakin.
it does is you look at it, right, because you have 64. With the Acclimator 1, it was 66 points, but you would immediately put X-Rax on there, right? So now you're at 70 points. And you're kind of in the victory problem where you can't really navigate anything. You're a 70-point blob that's just going to get 1 accuracy away from blowing up very quickly. So
yeah, so pretty good. I don't hate it. I don't. It's still pretty good. The boarding trooper idea is still the best. But moving on to I think their best change. The Charger C70 has went from 45 points to 42 points. This is a swarm MSU ship. So if you run 2 or 3 of these, now you're gaining, 6 to 9 points overall. That's great. I love these ships.
This is almost scary, I think. Now, I think the question here, what turbo laser do you put on them? You just go IF?
Here's what
Here's
what I've been doing. I've been running one of these with enhanced armament and clone Captain Zach and swift return.
I caught that in Speculation Station. You talking about that?
Yeah, I've been chucking like 6 to 7 damage out of the side of these things locally, and it's been a lot of fun. Yeah. Enhanced armaments is expensive for 10 points, but now it's 3 points cheaper than it was.
Right.
So, but
I think,
but Anakin, right? Anakin takes these things and just does numbers.
because the thing about Anakin is you're going to have 6, 7 ships, but they're not going to have a lot of stuff on them, right?
Right.
Now they're going to have a little bit of stuff on them, and a little bit of X, another X-Rax, another boarding trooper, that kind of burst damage type of thing this might be the biggest change for the faction, bringing it down to 42 points.
Yeah, this
in
makes
terms of
them
what you see the most.
as effective, if with Anakin especially, as effective as CR90s with the rerolls. And then the last change, scroll on down here to the very bottom, the victory 1 for GAR went from 75 points down to 73 points. It's a good change. It's still not amazing. A 2-point decrease. This ship without defensive retrofits is hard to keep alive. But I will say, however, due to other upgrades going down, i.e. expanded launchers, 13 points to 8 points, any ship with double ordnance all of a sudden becomes very interesting.
You're giving me ideas here, because that sounds expanded with X-Rax, your con firing. That sounds really fun.
Now stick with me. This thing can take expanded, X-Rax, boarding troopers, engine techs.
You know what? That sounds like a fun little, almost like an MC-30 kind of, that is just with a kind of a wider arc, just kind of a missile, right? A cruise missile.
Yeah.
It's just going to come in and just obliterate anything.
That
sounds pretty fun.
If you do it
you're
right.
first player.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you have to be first player, because that thing will die, to, I don't know, but that thing will die.
Yeah.
So,
You got to get it across the board.
Right. Get it across the board. Go first. You might be having some fun.
But that's boarding troopers and then 10 dice out the front with X-Rax and expanded launchers.
And a con fire.
And a con fire. If you're con firing, it's 11 dice. It's 11 dice.
Yeah. Does Zach do anything out the front?
No, he's only sides. Only sides and rear.
Sides. Okay. Yeah.
But if you build a list with Anakin and make this your missile to send at the enemy flagship, that's pretty cool. If it can make it there and just accept that you're gonna die, this thing can strip the shields and put a lot of crits on a ship and get rid of its tokens. If only Republic had overload pulse somewhere.
Well, if you're a CR90 or something, right? Like, you do not want to be in the front arc of this thing when it activates, throwing 11 dice.
Yeah, with blacks, I mean, there's a chance, right? It's gonna do potentially 12 plus damage.
When you put one of these in your fleet, right? This is in your whole. You don't make a whole you don't put 4 of these in your fleet, but you put one. I think you might have come up with something. That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, love it. But that's the end of the Republic changes. More so impacted by, I would say, some of their generic upgrades getting cheaper. Big one is Republic has the Venator 2 that can still take LTTs as they were because it has Bombard. So that's a buff for the faction overall. But I think that's it for Republic. Any other notes? Any other thoughts?
I think you mentioned, what is it? Expanded armor, enhanced armament. I think, you might see on these counselors, you might see DTTs, dual turbo laser turrets. They're on lots of red dice. It's an exhaust. And heck, you may even see the odd TRC, turbo laser reroute circuits on that, just to try to. You don't really love overloading your single evade, but it becomes cheaper. More things are on the table.
Yeah, my wheels are
So.
turning now with this Plo Koon wolf thing.
I'm gonna be honest. I have not seen anyone mention that, so I feel like I invented something. But I'm sure they've been talking about it in the Republic chat for like hours. So.
Innovator Ryan. But throwing 3 raids at somebody in one turn would be pretty funny.
Yeah, and I mean you're guaranteed with the accuracy from Plo, right?
Yeah.
Like you can only throw one per, right? One per arc.
You
can only throw 1 raid.
Right, 1 raid per arc. So that's still 3 raids from 3 arcs.
Yeah, it's not like Keenan's ability, right? Or Kanan's ability, where you could put two raids on with 1 attack.
Right. But now this goes back. Rapid launch bays, Clone Commander Wolf, Plo Koon, Arc 170s out of a Ven 2. Yes.
Well, I mean, the Ven 2 can take expanded launchers too, right? So
yeah. I went back to all my Republic lists and put expanded launchers and LCTs, and it fit on all of them.
I don't know if we said it, but expanded launchers are now 8 points instead of 13, which might be a mistake. That might be a mistake.
It's like having 2 X-Racks, because like the most you'd ever get to use is 2 X-Racks. So now you have 2 X-Racks. It's fantastic. It's so cool. Yep. You're going to see a lot of black dice. People are going to be clutching their Piddick pearls.
Black dice needed help. I wonder if this is too much.
Thank goodness Ord experts are only 2 black die instead of all of them.
Yeah.
Like it used to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it for this little segment covering GAR. We're going to cover Rebels. We're going to cover Imperials, and then we'll have another smaller one just covering the generic changes and kind of has some last summary thoughts. We'll try to get Canner John on one of these as well. But that's it for Command Stack. I'm Ryan.
See ya. I'm Garrett.
Thanks for watching.